That's good to go.
Okay, is that recording now?
Yeah, everything's recording now.
Oh, okay.
Seems like it.
Right. Well, you edit this, right?
Yeah, well, I have to tell you, to be honest with you, I never edit anything.
Oh, really?
However it goes, and then it's an honest interview.
Yeah.
Well,
No, I
you know,
just meant about the start when you're starting up like this. Do you?
depends if I get any good wisecracks in the meantime.
Yeah, right. Like that's going to happen? I don't have a sense of humor.
Okay, so my name's Tim Damrock, and this is Georgina Speaks. And I'm here today to interview someone I've known for a good number of years. So that would be my sister, Mary Lou Barber. I'm Mary Louise Barber, so...
Hello, how are you?
Couple of, I guess, I kind of thought about what it is I would be trying to accomplish today in terms of the purpose of this interview.
And what would that be?
Okay. A couple of things before we get too rolling. It's going to be obviously a lot of, but for me, the subject matter today, the main one, would be this entire pandemic episode and the seniors community.
Right.
And you,
Okay.
but I thought I should establish your credentials.
Okay.
So what
I'm
year?
a woman and I'm your sister. There's a start.
Okay, but what year was it when you went to study hairdressing?
It would be, I was 15 years old, so that would be 59?
59.
1959.
So you actually went to learn how to build one of those, a beehive?
Oh, absolutely.
For anybody who's never seen one, that's a beehive. So in 1959, so
Yes.
did you need an architect or an engineer for a certificate for them? Because they're pretty high.
Absolutely.
So anyway, I guess I'm trying to establish that we've been around a while. Do you remember where you were the day that Neil Armstrong stepped on the moon?
No, but I know where I was the day that John F. Kennedy died.
I was going to ask you about that. That would
Well,
be...
there you go. I remember him going on the moon, but I don't remember when. But John F. Kennedy, I was sitting the corner of Highway 27 and Aurora Side Road in a place all by myself.
Snowball Corner, no?
No, this is over on Highway 27.
Oh, yeah, okay.
You're way...
I'm way off.
you're
I'm
way
near
off.
Aurora.
Anyway,
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, anyway, I was sitting there. I was 9 months pregnant with my daughter, and I was just horrified. It sounded, just before it came on TV that he died, an airplane went by, and there was a sonic boom, you know how it used to do in the old days?
Yeah,
I don't know if it still does. I've never heard one.
I don't
for a
know.
long
I haven't
time,
heard one in a
but,
while.
Anyway, and I thought, oh my gosh, I thought a bomb had dropped or something. And then immediately it came on TV that John F. Kennedy died. So that's where I was, sitting there waiting to go into labor.
Yeah, well, actually, I just asked Dennis about it. They announced it in school when he was in school the day John F. Kennedy died.
Yep.
And the only thing I remember about it was on the way home, I stopped at David Connolly's on Murray Drive in Aurora, across the road. And Mrs. Connolly answered the door, and she was like visibly upset, saying, "Oh, they shot the president. They shot the president." Like and I was 10 years old. I had no idea what any of it meant, but I just
We were all pretty much destroyed.
everybody
at that
was,
time.
yeah, for sure, right? And
Well, I
then
don't know whether it'd be the same today or not.
no,
Anyway, let's not go in there.
yeah, no. So I just wanted to establish that we have been around for a little while, and
Yes.
and the one to bring it home to Canada. Do you remember the day Pierre Trudeau resigned?
I remember, I'm not sure the day, but
Yeah.
I remember him resigning.
I remember him going for a walk in the snow the night before, and the next day he just decided he wanted to be with his sons, and he'd had enough. And okay. So I guess that takes care of background.
Background thing, yeah.
Yeah, we're a couple of old dogs. Okay, so I guess and one other
Speak for yourself.
historical fact that we have to I'm going to get questioned about it. That it is true. You did change my diapers, right?
Oh, I absolutely did.
Okay, good.
No
So-
question about it. You were my baby brother. I was the oldest one of 8 children. And you were the 7th one born. So I was plenty old enough to feed you and change your diapers and the whole bit.
You're 76 today,
I'm 76.
and I'm
August 2nd, I
I'm
turned
63. So that's where we stand on the spectrum. Okay, so I guess the thing is, I did want to another subject matter I wanted to discuss. You published a book a few years ago, in recent years,
Yes, I have.
and it was part of your pursuit of your dreams. You know,
Yes.
like you studied psychology in recent years too. At
Yes, I did at York University. I went back to university when I was in my late 40s.
right,
And when my daughter Cheryl died, I started to write this book.
right,
And I stopped after about, say, 25,000 words. I stopped because other stuff, with Jimmy getting sicker and different things.
yeah,
Coming into my life, I stopped doing it until later on when I
yeah,
started back. Once I started at the Club 55, I met a group in there that was writing books. So
Yeah.
I joined that group and
real good. Bill,
Finish
could
my
you
book.
pull a curtain a little bit because it's just bright on the, it's showing up a little bit bright. If you could do that, thank you. So the thing is I'm not sure that subject matter, whether you're comfortable with that discussion.
yeah.
Well, I'll tell you from my perspective.
Okay.
And I've watched you my whole life because
Yeah.
you're my second mother as far as that goes.
Thank you.
Well, no, I've always
Yeah.
that's always been the
I know.
case.
I
Mom
understand.
was the hardest working human being on the face of the earth, and
Absolutely. But she needed help with 8 kids.
well, yeah, and she
you go.
got it. So anyway, it always amazed me. I never could make hide nor hair of. You had a large family, and I guess that one of the subjects I wanted to talk about was because it's a really neat subject, and that is the progression of the evolution of the well-being of cystic fibrosis children.
Right,
Because I remember when your oldest Cheryl was born,
right.
they had a really short life expectancy
Right,
in those
5
times,
years
and
old.
and then I believe it was Dr. Crozier at the time. He was a pioneer in that whole field,
Right,
and he took on Cheryl's case along with a number of others
Right.
then. And then by the time Cheryl was like school age, they had already managed to prolong further, like longer
Yeah.
years. And then, so you had 5 kids altogether, and 4 of them had cystic fibrosis.
right.
You lost one, Sean, quite early,
Yeah,
young. And I remember I was in California at the time, and
Right.
it was the summer. And then the other 3 lived their normal life expectancies.
up until they were, if you can call their
Yeah, their life expectancy.
life was normal for having cystic fibrosis. They lived a really good life.
They lived an
Loved it.
incredibly normal life, and yeah, they
And
were.
we just filled their treatments and their pills and everything and tried to get that in and around
There's yeah,
things that they wanted to do, school and stuff they wanted to do.
yeah, for sure. And
For
the
that, they lived a happy life.
well, and I can tell you, my take has always been on that. I don't know if I've ever even told you, but my take on that always was that your kids had a pretty good life for the life that they had here.
Right.
Your time is your time. You can, you know, whether it's at 25 or it's 70, you have no say in that.
That's right.
But it's the quality of the time that you have.
And if you enjoy every day like it might be your last for your whole life, you're going to have a great life.
Yeah, and there's people that go live 90 years old that don't have that decent of a life. So I mean, to each their own. It's to your credit that they had that.
Yes,
So I mean,
I think so too, and I'm
yeah.
very proud of that. So.
yeah, and so you should be. So that's enough. I think about that. So unless
Yeah.
there's any more you want to say on that.
No, just keep positive, guys.
Yeah, no. Well, here's what I meant to say about that. That's what I forgot to say about that. I always thought, wow, man, that girl's in denial. Like for what you went
Yeah.
through, I did. I just thought, well, maybe she's got to shut it all off or something. And then in the end, I realized that no, you actually, through your faith or your faith.
I had God in my life.
Yeah.
I had a great family,
Yeah.
and I always had a positive. You have to think positive. If you're negative, you can't live a good life. You have to think positive about everything, and you'll get through it.
Yeah. No, I've always wondered about it. I always had a great deal of respect for it, but I never understood it until recent years. Just exactly that you actually were
Not in
positive.
denial.
You were not in denial. You actually accepted your lot in life.
Absolutely.
And,
I thank God that He allowed me to have those 5 children because He knew I would look after them.
Yeah, and you did.
That I would actually let Him take them back in His time,
Yeah.
not in my time.
Yeah.
And I was grateful for that. So.
And you don't ever have favorites, but if I had a favorite, it would be the one full of piss and vinegar, and that would be Chrissy, who
Oh, absolutely.
45. She made it to 45 or whatever,
41.
41 rather. And well, that was and she enjoyed every single day of it, like beyond more than most.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So that's
And I don't think I ever had a favorite, but the one I admired the most out of all of them is Sheena.
yeah, of
For
course.
everything that she went through, and for who she is today, and for the children that she's given me,
Yeah.
grandchildren that she's given me, and for a child to go through losing 4 of their siblings and come out the other side the way she has, I am so proud of her.
Oh man,
I
Sheena.
mean, I was proud of them all, but
Yeah, her and I, we used to
Yep.
chat a lot. And oh yeah, you know what? Well, while we're on the subject of Sheena, since we're here,
okay.
this is what was my view of Sheena, and I watched everything she did her whole life. And I watched her while she went through York University and held on a full-time job nights
Yeah,
at a group home, double honors BA in creative writing and English.
yeah,
And she's gone on to do nothing but better ever since.
absolutely.
But she always wrote her own ticket, made her own decisions. This is what I'm going to do, not that.
And did it.
And did it, yeah. So, well, I guess that kind of sets the groundwork for that. I'm just trying to think of it. There's there's an awful lot there. The one thing about Sheena too, like you said, she grew up with 4 siblings that passed away early in life,
Yeah,
and she come out the other end of it, full, strong human being,
yep. She
Yeah.
certainly did. She certainly did.
Okay, so the
A real changing point in my life. I know you're probably going to ask me another question, but I have to.
you say whatever you want, dear.
Okay, I have to say this, that when my second husband died,
Yes.
it was the end of my having to be a caregiver. I was a caregiver from the time Cheryl was born, when she was 19, until my second husband died when he was 12 years ago.
Right.
And when that happened, I went through a phase, not a long one, but a little bit of time where it was like a blank wall. I couldn't see where I was going. It was a very blank wall.
I imagine, eh?
Because everything that I did 24/7 was gone.
Yeah.
So now I had to, I was still babysitting my grandchildren and everything. And then I found Club 55. So from there on, the blank went away.
Club 55 has been a good,
Oh my God, Club 55. I'm telling you, I don't know what it's going to be like when we go back,
yeah.
which we'll get into. But
Yeah.
right now, Club 55 was like a saving grace for me. Went, if you've ever read my book, you'll see I went over there.
Yeah, I
they
did.
had everything for seniors. It's the best club in Ontario, the
Yeah.
one in Keswick,
Right.
because it has everything. The office staff has just looks and township supports everything we do, and it's
Yeah.
just been wonderful. And that's where I met my writing group as well. So, and then it ended up I was the only one in the writing group, and my coach stuck with me right through until my book was done. So
Yeah.
yeah, so
Right on. Let me just adjust myself because I look like I'm wearing mirrored sunglasses because I can't. There we are. That's better.
okay.
Well, yeah. Okay. So Club 55. That's part of the reason why I'm here today. I just want to make sure I cover all the other bases because
Yeah.
there's a lot there. The yeah. Well, your role as a caregiver, both with your own family and with our more extended family,
Right.
that's like legendary in our family. Like you've been the matriarch, along with Mom.
There you go.
Yeah, you shared that
Mom's
whole.
gone now. I get it all.
Yeah, good. Well, good for you.
There.
Good luck with that, eh? So anyway, I have a tremendous amount of respect for all of that. So I guess what we should do is move on to February of this year. So
Okay.
you start hearing the early rumblings of the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
What did the first parts of it,
Affect me?
Well, I think, when did you first start hearing about it, and what did you think of it when it was first starting to appear?
Well, I didn't really think it was worldwide. Like when it first started coming
Yeah.
out,
Yeah,
it didn't really kind of affect me until March the 13th. My grandchildren come up to start their
right.
vacation. My brother phoned me to tell me not to come to Florida because they were coming home because of this COVID thing.
Yeah.
And I had to go over to Club 55 because Club 55 was closing that night, and we had to cancel the dance and everything else that was going to be going on. We
Right.
didn't know how long it was going to happen or how long it was going to be around. So at that point, that particular day, as I said, I got my grandchildren. I said to my daughter, they're here now, so they're not going back home for a week. So
Yeah. So
I kept them for the week, but the club had closed, and and we didn't get to Florida, and that was disappointing. But
yeah,
hopefully there's next year, not this coming year, but
it hit me like a ton of bricks. Only in the sense that I got home at 1st of March, end of February, 1st of March. Like I got finished up the winter in Cuba, and I come home and ready to start. I could have stayed for another month for building purposes or whatever, but I got home, and then just over the month of March, everything went to hell.
Absolutely, hell in the handbasket. I know when I dropped off my grandchildren the following Saturday,
Yeah.
like March 13th, I got them the Saturday.
Yeah.
I dropped them off. I couldn't even go into the house and hug my other grandchildren or my daughter and
Yeah.
that because they work in a nursing home, which I didn't know at the time.
Right.
But from that day until June, I never went out my door. I never went out there at all. Groceries
remember.
were delivered and everything. I couldn't. And then I had to go back and start having my therapy.
Yeah.
So they had opened back up. So my sister got me a shield, and I've been a little better now. We've started. We have a safe bubble that we play cards with.
Yeah.
We have a couple that we go over to their outside deck and we play darts and that. So, and I've been able to spend some time in the last few weeks with my grandchildren, which is
Nice.
safe distancing, but
Yeah.
still. So it's looking a little promising, and I'm positive things are going to get better, and
Yeah.
this too will pass. So
Well, what I went through was I was at Timmy's with my grandkids, my son and his wife, Jackie, and we and it was getting a bit hairy because started to get a bit hairy. I'm kind of old school, like whatever, I'm fine.
Yeah.
I come and go, and nobody's going to bother me. But because I was there, I had to take some responsibility for that. I'm around my grandkids,
and that, yes,
and something else I'm not used to. I was in somebody else's environment,
absolutely,
so they got to write the rules.
absolutely.
And to my daughter-in-law's credit, she's the first person on the face of the earth in my 63 years that I wouldn't tell, mind your damn business.
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't. I was in their home. I had no
Yeah.
choice. I'm not used to that. So that was an interesting, kind of a growth thing for me anyway. But I got my unit. I was there for going through March, around the 1st of April. My unit in Lyndhurst wasn't opening till the middle of April, and my job started.
Mm-hmm.
And then it started getting crazier with COVID, and then it started to become local. I started to have different effects. So I actually went and got a motel for a couple of weeks because I didn't feel comfortable going out every day and coming home to my grandkids.
Yeah.
And then so from that day forward, for 2-3 months at least, I didn't see them, didn't get to hug them. I seen them, I'd go and see them on their porch every day.
Yeah. Well,
So-
same here. It's really difficult. And the other thing, too, I think is really hard for a lot of seniors is, first of all, a lot of them are living alone in their apartments, and it's so hard to keep
Yeah.
the depression at a low.
Oh, man, that's
it's
brutal.
terrible. And I've lost 10 people in the last 6
I
months.
wondered about that.
And there was my aunt and my cousin.
Yeah.
They passed away. My best
Helen
friend,
and Greg.
yes.
Yeah.
And June Worthington, who I was so close with, she passed away. Now I was video chatting with her the whole time because
Yeah.
she was in a nursing home in Peterborough.
Right.
But I just loved her to pieces. And Elsie Harrington, who was a close friend as well, she was on my lunch group. I made lunches once a month for my seniors.
Right.
And I had 4 core people that started 9 years ago.
Right.
Elsie was one of the last ones, and she passed away 3 weeks ago. Bruce, who was husband to our secretary, and I'm on the board of directors,
Right.
and been really close friends with Ruth and Bruce for so long. Ruth
Yeah.
Vinskus, and he passed away a week and a half ago. And it's like, and you can't go to funerals and stuff like that. And I think that's really sad that
Yeah.
that has to happen, but it
They,
just makes it even harder to
there's
keep
a
your spirits up.
that's a subject on its own that I was curious about, and that is the people in extended care homes, like old age homes, and those places that don't have the independent living, and then their families couldn't visit them,
Absolutely.
and then people were passing away in them, and their families couldn't even go in to be with them at
I
those
know.
times.
Like Elsie's husband.
In your community, in the seniors community, you must have heard. Have you known anybody who went through that?
Well, Elsie.
Yeah.
When Elsie was in the hospital, her husband could only go in 1 hour 3 times a week.
Yeah.
And they finally brought her home to die because that way she could be around her family. All her family was able to come in because she didn't have COVID, but she was, she was dying.
Right.
And that was so hard and so sad. And I talked to her on the phone after she came home, and then
Yeah.
I was supposed to phone the next week. I phoned on the Wednesday, and Ren answered. Her husband answered the phone, and
Yeah.
And I said to him, can I talk to Elsie? Because I had said I would phone her the next week. And he said, she passed away a half hour ago, hon. And it was like, I knew it was coming, but,
Yeah, it's never
easy.
it's never easy, and
Never
it never doesn't shock you.
And it's got to be really hard on the spouses who lose their other half, because
I
they
know
can't
it is.
have the support of their family and their friends. That
Oh, it's
would
brutal.
not
Like
come
that.
to, the funeral home. And
I couldn't imagine anything more brutal than the senior members of your family
Yeah.
in a
nursing
home or building,
Can't.
and you're outside and you can't go in there and visit those people.
I know.
Especially if it was just a lovely day, it would be bad enough. But in the middle of all this fear and what's going on,
Absolutely. Well, June's son, Fred,
yeah,
he would go to the window and visit with her, and and that sort of thing, and he'd have video chats with her.
yeah,
The only day he could hold her was 10 minutes before she passed away. He got to the nursing home because they called him, and he went in and he was with her when she died, because I had phoned, and they were going to put me through to put a phone up to her ear for me to talk to her.
yeah.
And when the nurse walked in the room with the phone and said, "Oh, Mary was here to talk to June," and Fred said, "Oh, she passed away a couple of minutes ago." So,
Wow.
I mean, for him, he only had a few minutes to basically hug his mom and say goodbye, in which I'm really grateful.
Yeah, for
he
that.
got
Yeah,
because
for
they
sure.
were so close.
Yeah.
And I'm close to Fred and Linda as well. So
Yeah, that's pretty.
yeah, it's hard. It's
Well,
really
you know
hard.
what? There's some. I wouldn't mind talking about some of the heroes and all of it, because that's a pretty serious subject. It's a depressing subject when you look, but there was some bright spots in it in terms of caregivers.
Well, you know something? My two granddaughters, who
Yeah.
I didn't know when they started
Yeah.
because they didn't want to tell me, but my 16-year-old granddaughter and my 19-year-old granddaughter, Katie and Jamie,
Yeah, I know Katie and Jamie.
they started working in the nursing home in Cambridge at the
Wow.
time. They have to mask and suit up and do everything. And I said to them, you know what? I'm really scared for you. When I first heard, I said, I'm really scared for you.
Yeah.
But I am so proud that you're
Oh,
in
and
there, because
I didn't know
what?
they did that.
Yes, and I was so proud that they're there. They're still working there. And I said, you know what? If I was a senior in a nursing home and I couldn't see my grandchildren, to see those beautiful faces come in to help me video chat.
Those kids are amazing. You know what? I
I'm
can't
so
tell you
proud
how
of
much.
them.
Yeah, I can't tell you how much. I've always had a tremendous amount of respect for those two kids, for their individuality. They're really individual.
Yeah,
And their
absolutely.
strength, and their convictions. I didn't know that. You're just telling me this now.
Yeah.
But my that's funny, because my take on caregivers during this pandemic is they literally walk through the gates of hell every day
Absolutely.
for us.
Yeah.
And now I find out that those two people that I love so much.
Our nieces.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. And
Yeah.
no,
I was saying I'm proud of them,
I'm proud of that. I feel that way about all caregivers
Yes.
during these times, but that's
me
really
too.
special.
Me too, but these are special to
Yeah.
me because I
That's
think
amazing.
These young, beautiful, and they are, and I'm prejudiced, but they are beautiful, and they love seniors.
Hats off to Sheena for not putting her foot down and not letting them.
Well, she works at one of the head offices.
She's been in the
for
industry.
those-
Yeah, she's been in the seniors
that
caregiving industry
but,
forever. Yeah.
No, when they're 16 and 19, it's pretty hard to put your foot down. But they have convictions that they want to do something, and
Yeah.
Well,
Well, that's amazing.
Been
That-
really
that-
good to my friends. They've always loved my seniors, friends,
Yeah.
and stuff. So
They no, that does my heart good, man. I didn't realize that was the case. That's really neat. Well, I'll have
you
to
learn
shoot.
something new every day.
I'll have to shoot them off. I wonder if they see my Canada COVID song.
I don't know.
I got to send it
Might
to.
have.
Well, because there's special mention there for caregivers, which says exactly what I just said
Well,
to you.
there
So
you go.
I'll have to hook up with them when we're done. So I guess the another thing that I noticed about in the early stages of this, when it was a lot of the stuff was unknown, but we were losing in some of the nursing homes.
Right.
It was hitting the seniors population extremely hard, and I noticed that all other seniors, like yourself included, and Derek Hanlon, Derek and Agnes, everybody was like locking their doors.
Oh yeah.
And
absolutely.
sealing it with tape, which is, I'm exaggerating,
Yeah.
but
No, but-
everybody was looking at. I'm not going anywhere until I find out what's
And
going
this
on.
is what's so good about Canadians. They have followed the rules.
Yeah,
They followed
100%.
the rules, and we're coming out of this. And I know there'll probably be a second wave.
Yeah,
I don't think it'll be as bad because Canadians follow the rules.
yeah.
And
Well-
we're all good at it.
That was why I laid the groundwork at the beginning of this interview that I did. And I knew I had a reason for it, but because my brain's not that sharp, it took me a little while to remember. And
Give
the
yourself
reason,
a little credit.
the reason is, you know, for where we stand today as Canadians, we stepped up, I believe, and we pulled together, and we were doing great as far as a nation and as
I
a
believe so. And
right. Well, I got news for you. All of those people, all of those seniors, everybody at Club 55, everybody in Canada over 65, that generation brought us to where we are today. That's why we can be as proud as we are today. That's why we stepped up and got it done. They taught us how to do it. And so that's one subject I did want to, thanks for reminding me. So, and you're one of the leaders in that community, by the way.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So I'm just trying to think of if there's anything else that we haven't covered. Do you have anybody? Well, you've already told us about some people that were dear to your heart that you went through.
Yes, I've lost
for this.
Elsie and June and Betty and Bruce. And
So does Sheena?
Margaret's in the hospital, but thank God she's coming out hopefully next week.
I did. Yeah. Did Aunt Helen get nailed by COVID?
No, well, yes, she had COVID. She left the nursing home, went to the hospital,
Right.
got over COVID, came back to her nursing home.
Right.
A week later, she celebrated her 101st birthday,
Yeah.
and then a week later, she passed away.
Right. There was one
Normal
little, yeah,
causes.
and there's a little story about that. That's my Aunt Helen. She was 101 years old at the time that she was Uncle Art's wife,
Right.
and her son Greg had passed away a couple of weeks earlier, 2-3 weeks, a month earlier. And people think I'm crazy when I say this, but they made the decision not to tell Aunt Helen that her son had passed away,
That's
Greg,
right.
and he was 80 or something. How old was he?
No, he was
70?
60.
60? Anyway, they had made the decision not to tell her that he'd passed away.
That's right.
And some people would question that maybe or not, I don't know. But for me, when she passed away, there's two people that loved each other deeply
That's right.
that passed away, never having known that the other one had passed away, which to me was a really neat.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And when my other aunt, who's Aunt Ann, I can't even remember, she's in her 80s anyway, late
Yeah.
80s.
Yeah.
When she phoned me to tell me that Aunt Helen had passed away,
Yeah.
she said, "Isn't Aunt Helen going to be surprised when she gets to pearly gates and Greg opens the door for her?"
Yeah, there you go. Come on in, I'll make you a tea.
That's just our warped sense of humor.
100%.
Black humor.
I actually went down, as you know, I went down to visit Aunt Ann and Uncle
Absolutely.
Bill.
I'd seen that.
That was a wonderful visit, I got to tell you. I hadn't been in so long, and I hadn't really chatted with them because you only see everybody's off in their directions, and at our age, you don't get around that much. So it was really lovely just to go down and social distance and
Well, it's like talking to Aunt.
play a little ukulele with Uncle Bill. It was wonderful. I really enjoyed
Well, I
that.
usually talk to Aunt Ann once a week, and
Yep.
Aunt Lee I talk periodically too. That's my dad's younger sister,
Right.
who's 98
Yeah.
this year. So,
Yeah.
it's we have longevity in our life, which means when I say I want to live to be 108, I think I've got a good shot at it.
Yeah, if anybody will, you will, that's for sure. Well, I'm just trying to think if there's anything else that we really need to address. I miss my old dad sometimes,
Yeah.
and Mom for that matter.
I
And
miss Mom and Dad. Mom was my rock, and Grandma Dan was my rock. Those
Yeah, I
two
remember
people
that.
They were my rocks, period. If
yeah.
it wasn't for them and God, I never would have got through this, everything I have. in life.
Well, we could do. I could highlight another senior's experience that I thought was pretty funny.
Which was?
Well, Grandma talking about after Grandpa had passed, like the next day, all the other old guys in town were calling her, hey, you better not be, can't be alone forever, and
Yeah.
because she was a good cook, eh?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
All the old guys in town knew it. Well, you know what, Mary Lou, thanks so much for taking the time. I really appreciate it, and I'm sure I'm going to think about 1,000 things, so I'll likely be back.
Well, you know what? I'm here.
And I'll probably be back by popular request, no doubt about it.
Well, thank you. Thank you for picking me to be interviewed.
Oh,
That's great.
so what you can do is, for me, you can look at that screen and say goodbye to all your friends and then touch the button,
Okay, well, goodbye, everybody. It's been nice talking to you.
the little red button. There you go.
It went
Right
full
on.
circle, right?
Tim Darmick, Georgina Speaks. Thank you so much, Mary Lou.
You're welcome.
And we're done.